Okay, hi everyone.
Hello.
So I'm Omri, and I'm delighted today to have a little chat with Moritz. So Moritz, maybe first you can tell this good group of people what is Urban Sports Club for those who don't know.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the introduction. As Kaja said, we basically we set out to inspire people to lead a more active and more healthy life. And the way we do this is by having a monthly membership, a monthly sports membership, that gives you almost unlimited access to sports clubs, more than 7,000 sports clubs across Europe. So you can do anything from going to the gym or going swimming here in Berlin. You can go surfing in Lisbon. You can go skiing in Munich, play padel in Barcelona, really whatever you want to do. And our vision is to provide you with anything, any type of sport you would want to do. We want to be able to offer it. We do that for private customers, so B2C, and corporate clients. I mean, they're war for talent. More and more companies are subsidizing the sports cost of their employees.
Can you give us a rough sense of the size of the company?
Yep. So in terms of, studios I mentioned, kind of roughly 7,000 studios, 5 countries, more than 40 different cities where we're active. In terms of team, we have a bit more than 300 employees now, growing that quite quickly. In terms of members, we do not really talk about it, but it's a six-digit figure.
Great stuff. So you're growing super fast. We won't say how fast, but quite fast. What would you say is your biggest challenge managing this growth?
Yeah. Main topic, as with a lot of companies at that stage, is hiring the people. So we didn't start, but 2016 we were at 25 people. 2017 we already had 70. Last year we were at 190. Now we're at 320 people. And for example, last month alone we hired 40 people. This month again 30 people. So that's the main challenge: attracting the right talent. And crucially, not just in Berlin, but in all of these different countries. So we have a very local team, very local teams. So we hire people in Paris, in Lisbon, in Madrid, and so on. And finding the right people at that speed is always a difficulty.
How do you keep the culture, while growing with so many new faces every week?
Yeah, it's a very good question and something we worry a lot about. So we put a lot of emphasis on that because on the one hand, it's a lot of people that we hire. At the other time, these different offices, for our business, I think it's really important to have them because the markets are quite different. But that complicates things quite a bit, no? Because the culture in the office in Lisbon is different than the office in Cologne, different again from Paris or Milan. And to make sure that every office feels like an Urban Sports Club office is extremely important. So for us, the onboarding period is extremely important. So we have a 2-week onboarding in Berlin where everybody comes together. And then I think we're helped quite a bit with our product. So sports helps to connect people. So we do a lot of sports. Also part of the onboarding is kind of doing sports together. And then, of course, in terms of bringing people together, we have topics like desk swap, where people can work from other offices. So in each office, we have more desks available to foster the exchange of the teams. Then we do a lot of leadership training, a lot of team building measures, a lot of things at the same time, because it's such a complex and important topic.
Right. Okay, changing topics. I think something that was quite uncommon when we invested last September is to see what you had already done in terms of M&A. And actually, you have not been idle since we invested in September in this topic. I would say that today you are probably the most advanced in all of the portfolio companies around Partech in this, managing M&A at scale in a repeated way, in a successful way. So probably interesting for the audience to understand how do you do this? What were maybe your biggest mistakes? What did you learn? And now, how do you make this very successfully and all the time?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So as a background, we've done in total 9 deals so far, 9 acquisitions. Last year alone, we did 5 acquisitions. The first acquisition we did was in 2014, so very early on. We had on our side 10 people, so very small scale. That time was a competitor that copied us one-to-one and then made some strategic errors. So we were able to acquire them. And then we really saw the benefits of that. So typically with acquisitions, you get team members and the first question, the main topic about hiring talent. So you get people that work on the same topics. So they're quite similar, same age group, maybe different countries, but all focusing on sports, focusing on motivating people, inspiring people. So that is a crucial thing for us. Then again, comes back to the second question about culture. So it's about integrating different teams. And if it's a startup that does exactly the same, it's fairly easy. Again, coming back to doing sports together, about a lot of meetings, a lot of time at the offices, going for drinks in the evenings together. These kind of soft topics are extremely important. And then processes, structures, and really taking the time to implement the integration. So the biggest acquisition we've done, for example, was last year. The B2B company, so doing corporate sports from Cologne. 17 years old, profitable business. Completely different culture, hardly any tech. And then we took a lot of time to make sure that the companies could kind of gel together. So we hired an additional manager to kind of focus only on the topic, because scaling startup, everybody's busy, right? Everybody's doing 1,000 different jobs. So to focus on an integration is not so easy. So having dedicated people on that, making sure that the processes and everything work, and having the time for that. That for me would be the main things.
Given the time, maybe another aspect that I think also could be of interest. There's a lot of discussion in the, let's say, European tech ecosystem that it's really hard to scale a consumer business on a continental basis because different countries, different cultures, different customs, not like in the US or China or whatever. Still, today you are in 5 countries and expanding. What does it take to succeed outside of Germany, when you're from Germany, to conquer Europe?
Yeah. I think the first point is to make sure that you do not lose your home market. So I mentioned Interfit, the acquisition. That's a company based in Germany. Because we really believe that you have to really kind of be in the home market in a strong position before expanding to other countries. So that was the first point. Second point, but that depends a bit on business model, for us was to have local teams. So I think some business models you can scale in a very centralized fashion. Some business models you cannot so much. So for us, of course, we have centralized marketing, performance marketing, these kind of things. Product, tech, it's done centrally. But a lot of the business is local. So we hire local teams with local MDs, and there's a difference for us between a country manager and an MD. So full P&L responsibility, coming from the country preferably with a local network, and then hiring people also from the country. So local people with a local knowledge of the market, and that for us was the most crucial thing. And then to be perfectly honest, we're still in the process of finalizing the structures. I guess you never completely finalize structures, but so we're setting up a matrix organization. Well, for me that was always kind of a big corporate talk, but in our case it helps. So having always the discussion between global and local level, it's something where you have to be very specific about who does what, who decides what, and who has to be informed and kind of consulted upon these decisions. I guess the mistake we made at the beginning was we were too broad. So we thought, okay, we set up kind of the guidelines and then it'll work out by itself. It did sort of. It certainly helps to have more and more examples, to be very concrete. So who decides what, kind of where the decisions taken, kind of where they implemented, these kind of things, to be as concrete as possible. So you have very clear guidelines for the people doing it. Because a lot of these people have not worked in a matrix organization with kind of different legal entities. So having guidelines was extremely important.
Cool. So maybe to finish, one personal question. This one is a surprise. I think you are, once again, when I see all of the CEOs we work with, you are very intense, like all CEOs, all founders are intense, you have no choice. But you are an extremely serene individual, always serene. Even at the peak of intensity, very serene. I feel like your pulse is always at 60. What's your secret?
It's not. It clearly is not. And I love this at the moment, right? This is a complete ride. This scaling like this that we're doing at the moment, and we have been in the last year, that's crazy. And that's my dream job. My dream job for now. I wouldn't want to do this for the rest of my life because it is a bit too intensive. But I think that the main thing for me is I love building something. I love building up the product, building up the team, and then building a company with a product that I stand behind 100%, that I'm actually using, not quite as often as I would like to, but that helps a lot. So these two factors are the main thing for me. And then it's a struggle, right? I mean, it's a struggle about keeping the balance. And my girlfriend and I would talk about it a lot. It's how do you keep that balance? I'm lucky that she's also a founder, so she also works a lot. So it's kind of there's a good balance. But it's a daily fight about being able to do sports, being able to move, being able to kind of free your head, and it's a struggle. Huh? Urban Sports Club helps actually, although I don't use it as much as I would like to. But for me, it's always if I didn't have that, I wouldn't do any sports whatsoever. So I guess that's the answer.
Thank you, Moritz.
Thank you.